Hello there and welcome to the Fast Forward Show. Today, I'm joined by Dominic Panaya, who's the CEO and co-founder of award-winning company Cleanology, and they employ over 700 staff in the UK. Dominic has set up and ran a number of successful businesses over the past 20 years, including the high-profile Tuk Tuk Limited, who you may remember as Europe's first motorised rickshaw service, and was also featured on Dragon's Den. Welcome, Dominic.
Thank you, Louisa. Good morning.
Good morning. Great to have you. So, Dominic, you've got over 20 years of leadership experience. You must have a million learnings along the way and challenges, but there was just one thing that happened to you around 5 years ago that you feel made a fundamental change in how you run your business today. Tell us about that.
Yeah, no, thanks, Louisa. I mean, it's you kind of go through business and you try and learn from your mistakes, and some of them you learn from very quickly, and some of them takes a bit longer. And I guess sometimes the bigger the mistake that you make, or the bigger the learning, the more impact it has kind of in the long term. So we were very successful sort of 5-6 years ago, growing and kind of sort of slightly drifting along, and brought in kind of new expertise, new blood into the business, and really wanted to try and kind of get the business to grow. And having spent a lot of time and effort recruiting someone who was supposed to be very good from the industry, they stayed with us for a year or so, maybe a bit over, and then one day he came into my office and said, I'm leaving, I've had enough, I'm resigning. And for me, that was like a really big moment, because it was one of our most kind of experienced and senior hires, and it was a really wake-up call, and I kind of took it very personally, really, as a personal rejection, and certainly a rejection of the business. And that was a big moment. And I remember going home that night and just drinking a lot of wine and thinking, what am I going to do? I've brought in somebody who's really good. It was really difficult to bring them in and get to that point. And now they've just said, look, this isn't for me. And I kind of thought, what is it that, I need to do differently? Like, where am I going wrong here? And so I took quite a long period of reflection after that, and I kind of looked at what do we need to do, and how do we kind of change the business, and spoke to kind of people in the industry, and one of the things that they said was maybe you should get some almost like a mentor, some kind of like independent expert advice, someone that you can use as a sounding board, because it's quite, when you're running the business on your own, it can be quite lonely, and sometimes you're making decisions and you don't really know if they are, if they're the right ones. You go on gut instinct a lot.
Can I take you back then to when that actually happened, the resignation? And obviously, I think that's a natural reaction. Drink a lot of wine, see what you're going to do. What kind of home truths were you able to uncover from this individual as a result of your follow-up conversation with them?
Yeah, I mean, we sat down in my office, and we had a chat in terms of like exit interview. What are you, why have you made this decision? Can I change your mind? Surely like it's fixable. We had a very good relationship, so I kind of came as more of a shock, because sometimes you kind of expect these things and you think, okay, it's going to happen, so you kind of resign yourself to the fact. But when you're kind of told, you can't really, you think there's a better, this person came in and said, I think there's a better opportunity in another business. I think they've got a clearer vision, and they, seem to be a better opportunity for me. That was quite hard to take. And I was like, well, what's wrong with what we're doing? What's wrong with our vision? And, they felt that there wasn't enough vision, enough kind of clarity on where the business was going, that I was possibly too much of a micromanager, which business owners get accused of a lot. And I've certainly got a lot better at that in recent years. But yeah, it's one of those difficult things because, you know, you can only let go if you can let go to somebody who you can trust, and then that trust takes time to build up. But it is something that, you know, I definitely took on board at that point.
So
And it
what
was,
changes did you actually put in place then? You mentioned about a mentor. What did they help you put into place, and what changes did you make within yourself as a manager, as a leader, as a result of what you learned?
yeah, so one of the fundamental big changes we made was to bring in a non-exec, someone sort of external to the business. They did have some industry experience, but it was really good to have that kind of different dimension at the sort of senior leadership table, and the fact that, you know, somebody came in and, you know, wasn't involved day to day, could see, like, you know, could kind of share in the vision and help build that vision, and kind of having just that kind of clear strategy and targets to meet. So, you know, we were at the time about 5 million or so turnover, and we decided 2016, you know, kind of get through all of the fallout of, you know, changing people around, and then, you know, the plan was to go, right, 3 years, we want to get to 2020, double the size of the business, and go to 10 million by 2020. And that was a really positive move for me, and it really just gave me personally and the rest of the team just that, you know, a really clear goal and a really clear target. We can measure ourselves every quarter, every year, and it's not something that we'd really ever done before properly in that way. And then, you know, if you can just take away, you know, one thing from that event, you know, I think it's been worthwhile. I mean, sometimes, you know, you may take away a number of things, but I think every kind of bad experience, you kind of take something away and learn from it.
Thank you very much, Dominic. You've been an absolute pleasure. I've really enjoyed having you as my guest.
Thank you, Louisa. Really good to be on. Thanks very much.